All right, everybody, we're back on a Monday night, rolling through this open line as we talk about how to be a positive bystander. And if you're just joining us, specifically, we're talking about a bystander, someone who is near or witnesses bullying, which we know is a problem and can be just devastating for our kids of all ages. So joining us tonight from New York City is someone who knows a little bit about this, I should say a lot, and that is Limor Weinstein, Executive Director, again, of Bespoke Wellness Partners. Let's dig in a little more. You love this I statement, and you talked about this method that you've worked on, and you're personalizing your treatments, and I know you work with all ages, but a little more about some tools that we can teach our kids. Obviously, as parents, as adults, we want our kids to make the right decisions, but oftentimes these bystanders of bullying are not going to be us. It's going to be peers, right?
Yes. So I like that you use tools, because like the method that I've created, it's called the Karma Coaching method, and it has like 5 steps that basically, include a lot of different skills. And the first and most important step is, K stands for knowledge and awareness. So it's really for the parent to be aware of what's happening, and for the teenager to really kind of take the time with intention and to be aware of what happened and to be able to describe the experience, with as many details as possible, right? And also to be aware of the emotions, like what is it that I'm feeling, right? And not to have like shame and embarrassment, right? This is something that, a lot of people feel if they experience bullying. So to kind of normalize it for the teen and to help them, verbalize not just the experience, but like what is it that they're feeling that, is creating a lot of the anxiety and stress and sadness.
Well, that has to be so important because it seems like we've talked a lot here on News Channel 5 Plus and on OpenLine about mental and emotional health, and just the stigma around trying to tell people it's okay to work on your mental and emotional health, and it is okay to express those feelings. Like you said, what are you how are you hurt? What exactly are you feeling? What is it? And with the internet, which I'm diving into a whole new area here, but it really has changed, because we know about the trolls, and we know about the body image issues, to direct bullying, to threats, on and on and on. It is a lot on social media for young people to take in and handle.
Yeah, it is a lot. And, I think for a lot of teenagers, they don't know what to do. And what they end up doing is like creating all these stories and internal dialogue within themselves, which is why one of the other important skills that we teach it's called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Yeah. And basically all that means is that, our thoughts affect our emotion, and then that affects the behavior. So if somebody, for example, is experiencing bullying and they end up just kind of telling themselves, oh my God, I'm this like terrible, I have, like they're laughing at me and I'm not well, and they get so anxious, and then they end up doing, something really negative. Once they understand that they can tell themselves something, different, either reframe or redirect their thoughts, they will feel something less negative, and then the behavior will be reduced. So it's kind of like a lot of people get stuck in this very negative cycle of like, negative thoughts, emotions, and then the behavior, right? And, once you kind of understand, okay, like this experience happened to me, and it's really sad and it's really terrible, right? And I'm feeling this way. And, we have several kids that are not even going to school because they're bullying. And they've been homeschooled for months. But once you kind of learn to tell yourself something more positive, and learning to accept the situation, and then you feel a lot less anxious and less sad.
Right. So that you're saying that is a key step. Where do you go from? Obviously, every case is different, but generally speaking, what's next after that then?
Right. And I think a lot of people don't get that in order for somebody to change a behavior, you need to practice something for 12 weeks. So if you want to change a behavior, if you want to feel better, you need to be able to work with somebody and, get yourself to a place where you're feeling better. But according to science, it takes anywhere from 12 to 36 weeks to change a behavior,
Yeah.
which is why the program that we have here, it's a 12-week program for the teenagers and their families to kind of get a good jump start.
And I would imagine some kids react positively very quickly, and others, it just takes patience and time and those steps, right?
Yeah, and also depends like what support they're getting from their parents, from the environment. I mean, a lot of the times we'll need to get the school involved, like principal or the school psychologist to kind of help with the situation, because if the situation is really bad, like if they get support from the environment, it makes our job easier too.
And I mean, when we talk about this bullying in general, it really does range. There's physical bullying, but then there's so much subtle, just kind of vicious online bullying. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yes, it's really, the whole social media, or even like texting within groups and excluding and including certain people. I mean, that creates so much, anxiety. For example, one of our clients on Instagram, a couple of people made a comment about whatever they were wearing and just making really mean comments. And then, they don't want to go to school anymore. They're getting really anxious. That particular girl, stopped eating now for 4 weeks. And she's really, really affected by just few comments that were made on social media.
And do we know why, we know the impacts. You talked about anxiety and depression and addiction and eating disorders. Why certain young people kind of deal with all this in these ways in particular? Like if it's an eating disorder, is there a connection? Is there a DNA, a genetic component? Has this person witnessed, or why is this person addicted to maybe a drug or alcohol, and on and on?
Mm-hmm. It's a multifactorial kind of a cause. So it could be, it's the genetics, environment, personality. 20% of, the people are more sensitive than others, and they're more likely to have, psychological issues. There are various, challenges like ADHD and other mental illness that, cause people to behave in different ways. There are so many different reasons that, somebody might have more issues and challenges versus other people. But, the environment plays a huge role. And I think if teenagers and parents will actually obtain certain skills, then everybody will be less anxious and less, sad. But, like you were saying, the stigma is also, plays a very negative role in all this, because people don't talk about this.
Right.
Really important topics.
So bystanders should be out there and talking about it. Let's talk a little more about why being a positive bystander, no matter who you are in all of this, is so very important. And again, kind of go over some things that all of us can be thinking about, some steps to take, how we can positively intervene and help.
Yeah, so first of all, if you are, if for an active bystander, you can save a life, right? So if, for example, somebody's drunk and cannot make their way home safely, right? Will you make sure that they get home safely? That could be a life or death situation. It can help somebody from having an emotional, verbal, or physical abuse, right? And prevent future psychological and physical ramifications for an individual. So it's really, so important. And I think also, to challenge social norms and, talk about something that's so important that a lot of people are just kind of, not talking about.
Right. As you work with some of these young people, like you said, it's important that how involved the parents get, but obviously, I'm sure you work with some great parents who are eager to learn and are now learning themselves how to be better bystanders, right?
Right, yes. And I think for the parents, the challenge is to get themselves to a place where they are calm, right? Where they are able to, talk about these topics in an open and honest way so that they can actually help create that change that, that needs to happen.
Is it hard? It's funny you mentioned that, staying calm as a parent, which is, when you're thinking about your own children, it's really difficult to not let emotion take over and try to stay rational and make good decisions, because now all of a sudden you're acting emotionally, and maybe not just with parents, it can be with anyone you care about, and it's tough to separate the two, because obviously if you're really emotional about something, you could make the wrong decision trying to intervene or not.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's very true. So I think there's a trick that can actually help a parent and anyone, right, move from a more reactive, emotional way to a more responsive way. And the way you can get yourself there is basically by asking a question, right? So if, for example, you see something and you want to just scream, or you want to just cry or react
right.
With a lot of emotions, then if you just kind of take a step back and you're like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling, or what can I do about this situation? Or if you're with your child even, right, if you just find yourself very reactive, if you just turn this into asking a question, that would kind of help you calm down and will make it more of a conversation versus an argument or an emotional kind of a chaos.
And it takes time, it takes patience. It's a skill that you have to learn. I think, with any parent, it's just something after a while that you have to kind of take that deep breath and then kind of sort through and try to make the right decision. And it's not always easy, as we know. What else can we be doing, though, maybe to pick up maybe your child or someone in your life is going through something like this, and you maybe not have witnessed it directly, but you're noticing something's off, something's not right. Again, you don't want to pry, you want to stay out of someone's business, but at the same time, you need to kind of trust your gut, and like you said, maybe start asking questions, the right questions, to try to see what's going on.
Right, yeah. So if it's a parent and a child and it's about somebody else experiencing, bullying or whatever it is, then I guess just being very curious about the experience and finding out as much information as you can to see if you can help with the situation. And, also a parent can come up with different, suggestions of, maybe you could, talk to the person directly, or maybe you can think about getting somebody else involved. So, I feel just having an open and honest dialogue can make a big difference, instead of I'm going to do nothing and we're going to, not talk about certain things that are so important.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take another break, everybody. Fascinating stuff. We are learning some new skills tonight. I like it. We'll be right back here on OpenLine. Stay with us.